Blues and rock.
Ooh yeah. Well, alright, we're jamming. I wanna jam it with you. We're jamming.
Hello folks, welcome to Yardie's Kitchen, and today we are revisiting our Pol Sambal, yes, which is a coconut sambal or coconut sauce dip, you may call it, a dip or a spread that is used in Sri Lankan cooking as an accompaniment to food. Now, it was very simple to make, but because I had made a live video the last time, I decided to make this recorded one so that I could edit it and shorten the length of time that you actually watch the video. This is going to be really quick and really easy. Let me show you my list of ingredients. I have some crushed pepper flakes right here that I'm going to use, and I also have some unsweetened coconut flakes from Trader Joe's. I have some lime. I'm going to use maybe just one lime, but it looks good, so that's why I leave it there. And I have some garlic. As you can see, I have a lot of garlic. I have some dried shrimp, which I am using to replace the dried fish that is used in the original cooking in the original recipe in Sri Lanka. And I have some smoked paprika. Now, with this sambal, you can add whatever you want. I'm gonna maybe add some scallion to it just to give it a little bit richer flavor, and I may very well add a little bit more ingredients, but I'm not so sure. This that we have here is the original, the classic version, and so what we start with here is really and truly all that you need to make this awesome dish. So the simple recipe is: take everything here, dump it in your food processor, process it until you are so desire, and it is done. I'm just gonna run you through and show you a little bit of how I do it, okay? Stay tuned. This is Taste Bud and this is Yardie TV. So the first thing you want to start with is your dried shrimp, and I'm using the dried unsalted shrimp, guys. And the dried shrimp is to replace the dried fish that the original recipe calls for. I didn't want to use saltfish because it's too salty, and I didn't want to use red herring because the flavor in red herring is too pronounced. So the dried shrimp was a very good and convenient substitute for all of that. The next thing you want to do is add your pepper, and I'm using crushed red pepper flakes. This one is not overly spicy. It does have a kick, but it's not overly spicy, and you want to use a good amount of the red pepper flakes, maybe a quarter of a cup. Yeah, you want to use a lot, and you want to pulverize this, process this until it becomes a fine powder, and then we start to add more stuff. And once you've gotten it to the consistency that you want, that powdery flaky consistency, the next thing we're gonna add is our garlic. And the garlic I'm adding also, along with the garlic, I'm adding some ginger. Now the ginger is not a part of the original recipe, but I like the flavor of ginger, and so I'm adding it. So garlic, ginger, or garlic alone. The next thing I'm gonna add is my onion. I did not put this in the original ingredients list, but onion is vital to the recipe. The original recipe calls for red onion, however I didn't have any, so I'm using a Vidalia onion, and I'm using just about half of the Vidalia onion. You can use red onion or your regular yellow onion, and you gauge the onion to your taste, but onion is vital, it has to be in there. Alright, so you just want to quickly chop your onion up and add it to the bowl. And you want to mix this until it becomes a nice comfortable paste. The next thing I am adding is some green seasoning, and the green seasoning again is not a part of the original recipe, but you know me, I'm turning my hand to make fashion, so I have to add some more stuff. Alright, so let's add your green seasoning, blend it again, and then you're gonna empty all of this into your mixing bowl. And this is where the fun begins. Empty the container, make sure so you get out everything out of the food processor into the mixing bowl. Now the very next ingredients is gonna be your paprika, and paprika is used for two things: to make sure that the flavor is nice, give it a little kick, and to also add that red color that sambal is known for. I am using smoked paprika, however you can use the regular paprika. Okay, I like the flavor of the smoked paprika, so that's why I'm using it. And the next thing you're gonna add is your coconut flakes. I'm using organic unsweetened coconut flakes from Trader Joe's. You can use coconut flakes from wherever you find it. And if you like the sweetened one, that's even great because that's a nice blend between salty and sweet and spicy and all of that. And so you could go ahead and add your coconut flakes gradually. You want to make sure that you have the right proportion of seasoning to coconut flakes. You don't want too much coconut flakes or else you're gonna taste only coconut. And you don't want too much seasoning or else you're gonna taste only seasoning. So make sure it's properly incorporated and you gradually add and mix and add and mix, and this will take a little time. Now once everything is mixed and looking good, you're gonna make sure you add some salt. Make sure you add salt to taste, to season it, make sure it's comfortable, not over salted or anything like that. And I'm adding maybe about half of a teaspoon of salt to this one. And once you have mixed it in and make sure your salt is thoroughly incorporated, it involves a whole lot of mixing, but guys, it's worth it, I promise you. The very final thing that you're gonna add is your lime or lemon. I'm adding half of a large lime to this, and you want to add your lime and then taste for tanginess, you know, your preference on tanginess, and if it needs more, you add more. And guys, once you have added your lime and mixed well, your sambal is ready. You can have your sambal with rice. You can have it like a dip with chips or with tortillas. You can have it with vegetables. You can have it on jerk chicken, just as a condiment. You can have it on jerk pork fried chicken. I mean, the amount of stuff that you can add this thing to is numberless. Here I presented it with some cucumber and some carrots, and that's good enough for me. Once again, guys, remember to like,